Well, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. I don't know when you're going to be watching this, but just wanted to leave a quick message. First of all, to thank you, whether you're someone I work with on a regular basis, a colleague that I see even regularly or not regularly, people who follow me on social media, whether it's my Instagram, my Facebook, my Twitter. Just wanted to say thank you. 2020 has been one hell of a ride, huh? I'm trying to be nice here. But yes, 2020 has been very difficult for a whole lot of people, and that includes therapists. Now, let me uh, give you a little bit of a caveat here. This is not to say that, other people have not been important in 2020. Whether it's people working in supermarkets, which I worked myself in a supermarket for years, so I have a lot of respect for that. People who worked in any type of retail right now, any people who are first responders, working in the medical field, working at those hospitals, taking care of all those things, the post office workers, and I know I'm forgetting people, but I wanted to mention the therapist this year. So we went in March 2020 in Massachusetts, anyway. I know other states may have started later or sooner, depending on where you're at. We went from working at an office daily to pretty much going at home and trying to improvise in order to be there for other people. Um, we did this until now, right? We're going to continue probably till the beginning of next year for who knows how long next year. But this is how long, like, this was an adaptation that most therapists weren't ready for. I mean, I've been doing online counseling for 6 years. When it originally occurred, I know a lot of people who used to mock or say that this will never work or this is just a fad of doing online counseling. They said, "Oh, it's not safe." They all joined within a month or two, and at the time, it's like, "How do you like me now?" And to those therapists, I don't apologize. I feel the same way. Um, but for those of you who always inquired and always wondered about how this is done, and I've been doing it, and that, thank you for calling me, reaching out to me. I answered as many questions as I can for people. And I give a lot of tributes to my friends, my colleagues who are therapists. Again, not knocking anybody else, just mentioning the therapists. We've had one hell of a ride because we didn't get a transition time. We went just like some people did from working at a office or some sort of work office and going home, showing our living rooms or kitchens to clients with limited preparation just because we needed to be there for our clients. We did that because we knew the psychological stress, the psychological anxiety, and everything else that this occurred. And for me, I give credit to all the therapists who held space while themselves going through a fucking pandemic. And to me, that's something that I don't think that anyone really recognizes. And we talk about the other people, and again, no putting down anybody else, but I think therapists need to be up there because of all the work they've done and everything they've done to help out people hold on to their sanity while working with other people. And we've had to adapt so much, therapists, social workers, counselors, and with that adaptation came a lot of difficulties in our personal lives. Some of you have lost close friends, family members because of COVID or other stuff, and you still battled through. And I know therapists are pretty horrible at taking care of themselves. That includes me. But we need to learn how to take care of ourselves. And I started for the last couple of months. I'm taking at least 4 to 5 days a month off, and that's thanks to a colleague of mine, Don, who does supervision with me once a month. Not just me. We're 12 of us at this point. I don't even know. But at the end of the day, I think that that's where I want to say thank you to therapists for doing all this selfless work. I know we get paid, which is the selfish part, but we also have to be there to hold on to space for other people, answering the call from home, from our phones, from texting to anything that we needed to do, as long as we could get the consent of the client, if we could make it HIPAA compliant. There's a lot of stuff that's changed, that has moved in our field, and yet you've adapted. So I don't know who needs to hear that as a therapist, as a counselor, as a social worker, as anything that, in that nature. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. I give you a whole lot of credit. I recognize what you've done. I want to continue to recognize what you've done. And I know that maybe perhaps people are going to say this is self serving, and perhaps it is. But I just know that I wish more people understood the pressures of holding on to something as important as people's mental health during a pandemic, during racial crisis, during a economic crisis that continues to go on, political crisis, and the loss of loved ones and personal crisis that people go through. If you think about all that space that therapist clients, they need to think about themselves, and that's fine. But therapists need to realize, how hard it is for them, and they need to acknowledge the great work they did, the selfless work they did, the countless hours of making sure everything was followed up, and doing so while trying to take care of their own personal lives. So, thank you guys. Thanks a million. 2020 will go in the books in so many ways, in different ways for people, and I don't want to tell you how to do it. Be nice to hear what people think of 2020, if they could even sum it up in a way that's going to be helpful in the future. I like to think that 2020 proved that we are very, very resilient as human beings. I also believe that we've been able to show that we can adapt. And yes, the kids have struggled with, homeschooling and not going to school, and maybe going to school, but being faced with possible COVID exposure. But one thing I know as I look at these young children that I have, I look at the teenagers that I work with, and they're going to be so much better at adapting this stuff at a very early age because of all this. And that's what I hope the strength is going to be from. So, guys, happy 2021. I hope I wasn't too long, but I wanted to make sure I did something for you guys. I love all therapists that I've worked with. I love my clients. I love people who follow me on social media. I love people I don't know. That's the Buddhist in me, I guess. And trying to live in the moment, but remembering that there's always hope, and that all we can hold on to is the moment. And I want to thank you in this moment. So have a great night, great morning, great day, depending on when you listen to this. And happy 2021.